Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome, and thank you very much. I hope you all had a good week, and thank you for listening to John's Tarot on the podcast. Every listener I get cheers me up immensely. Well, this is kind of the first week of semi-retirement for me. And as a result, I think I'm going to do 3 videos this week. I'll keep the videos about one every other day. And I'll do the best I can. This is going to be kind of a weird week. This is going to be Spirituality Week.
Oh, far out, man.
Yeah, but when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion. That is something entirely different. So today I'm going to talk about the definition of spirituality. It's a little lecture I picked up in the past. And then I'm going to talk, my next one will be on spiritual bypassing. What is that? And what does that look like? I see it a lot. And then my third one, I'm going to talk about Father Chad Ripperger. And some of my impressions on him and some of the things that was really impactful speaker. And I'll do a little thing on him later on in the week. So buckle in, stand by, and away we go. Well, spirituality in the way I understand it. Let me move over to my other screen. And so the way I understand it is not a metaphysical thing. As I understand it, it's a natural part of our mind. It's a natural part of being. It's a natural part of who we are, and it expresses itself in different ways. The mind is made up of, as I understand it, we'll talk for the purposes of this lecture. The mind is made up of 3 parts. We'll say the rational part, the logical part, and the spiritual part. Okay, the rational part, that's the part that takes care of our general safety. Am I safe? Is my family safe? What do I need to do to plan for the future? What do I need to do to get through my daily life safely? How do I operate this vehicle safely without hurting myself in the 405 traffic? How do I, very rational, protective issues. How do I take care of my family? Is this going to be a rational thing for me to do in terms of my career? That is the rational part of the mind, and it is operative in many of the things that we say and do. You can see it every day. There's a second part of the mind. I call it the logical part of the mind, or the analytical part would be a more succinct way of phrasing it. When I say analytical, this is higher mathematics, planning. As I look into cause and effect, if I do this certain action, what kind of effect might I expect? And this is the analytical part of the mind, and it's planning. This is more right brain stuff. The rational part is more left brain stuff, and it's adding, subtracting, doing higher mathematics. It's what are the odds of me being successful in this? What could happen if I lose? What could happen if I win in relation to certain decisions I'm making? And that is what I call the analytical part of the brain, or the logical part. The third part of the mind is what I call the spiritual part. Now, the spiritual part of the brain will manifest itself in different ways. It's not, I don't mean to refer it in terms of religion. That is outside the goal of this lecture. Maybe we'll get into it in another lecture. The spiritual part of the mind, that is telling me, for instance, I have a job, okay? And in my job, they pay me money. In my job, do I feel like, oh, this job sucks, though they're doing this to me, they're doing that to me, they're not paying me enough? Or do I look at it like, wow, I'm so lucky to have a job. I have insurance. I have enough money to meet my needs. I'm not rich, but I have enough to meet my needs. Same job, different outlooks. This is a manifestation of your spiritual condition. psychiatry, they might call it, are you depressed? Are you not depressed? I look at it in terms of something that we can actually affect through practices in our daily life. Another way of looking at spirituality is, okay, I'm in a certain environment. This environment could be a palace or a prison, all depending on my spiritual condition. How do I look at things? How do I consider it? How, in terms of, let's say, recovery programs, do I have to go to those meetings, or I get to go to those meetings? I have to work those steps, as opposed to, well, I'll work them. It's work, but I'm willing to give it a try, and let's see what happens. It's all that is your part of the outer manifestation of your inner spiritual life. And that is how I look at spirituality. I don't look at spirituality like what religion you belong to, what philosophy you subscribe to, what are the teachings of the church, what are the teachings of your particular church. That is a different issue altogether. Religion. Okay, I'll talk about religion just briefly. I look at religion as kind of a software for the human mind. It determines how you disseminate information, how you analyze information, and how you process it and how you consider it, and all depending on how you use the philosophy of your particular religion can affect your spirituality, can affect your spiritual mind, the spiritual aspect of your mind. If you're able to take those aspects of what's going on in your life, processing them through your religion, through your dogma, and come out with a positive outcome, I would say that's a religion that is working for you. I, in my life, had to change my software because my old software wasn't working. And my old software, and I'll get into that in one of the later issues this week. The way I was using the software I was given was having negative outcomes. So I had to change my software. I initially became a Buddhist. I got involved with Taoism. I got, the I Ching. I got involved with symbolic systems, and this helped change my internal software. I think the biggest thing that changed me was probably the Buddhism and the I Ching. There was a guy named Alan Watts. Alan Watts often said that if you're rich, if you're wealthy, and you go to college, rich, wealthy families often send their college graduate, their young doctor, their young psychiatrist to therapy to undo the damage that was done during education. And that is now we're talking about spiritual or rewiring something. If you're poor and you don't have any money, you become a Buddhist and you practice Buddhism, and that will do the same thing as therapy. It will undo some of the damage, most of the damage, if not all the damage you have received during your education. In my experience, that is true. Buddhism was immensely helpful to me personally, as well as the other things in rewiring my thinking and my spirituality. But let's go ahead, and because this is going to be a short one today. I hope you enjoyed my little lecture. Let's go over to do a little tarot reading. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. What should I ask the tarot? How can somebody change their spirituality as I described it? How can somebody improve their spirituality as I described it? A lot of times when I got involved in these things, they talked about, if life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. If you're given negativity, if you're getting negative problems, you got to think of it about as this is given to me as a lesson I need to learn as a way to progress. But according to the tarot, how can we improve our spiritual condition? I think that's a good way to say it. I'll just use 3 cards. I use 3 cards just because it's quick, it's easy. I could do a 9-carder, but I'm just looking to do some short podcasts and put them up for this week. As I move into semi-retirement, I haven't yet got up my ability to do live readings for people. I'll be working on that later in the week, and maybe I'll have it up by next week. We'll see. I just got to sit down and do it. I've been working on, I worked on other things yesterday. How can we improve our spiritual condition? What are some of the methods we can use to improve our spiritual condition? How can we improve our outlook, our spiritual condition? How can we do that? And I'll cut the deck, and I'll do 3 cards. Now, if you're involved in a 12-step program, we got this place locally for me. It's called Charlie Street. And this is a way to improve your spiritual condition. Charlie Street is a detox for indigent people. And, I may have a personal problem. I'm worried about my dental insurance. I go to Charlie Street. I see a guy, he's got no teeth, and it puts things in perspective, affects me spiritually. That's one of the things I do to affect my spiritual condition. I might just go out there tonight, in fact. So, the first card, how do we improve our spiritual condition? Oh, that is the 6 of Wands. Everything is a win. It's a win. Everybody looks at you as a winner. If you're trying to attempt these things, that is a proper thing to do. This is going to change you into a winner, a psychological winner, a winner in your life. If you improve your spiritual condition, you'll never be a loser, because everything that happens to you in your life will just be an opportunity to learn, a challenge to overcome, and your attitude will change, and people will look at you and say, "Wow, what is this guy doing? What is this gal doing that I'm not doing?" So, consider yourself a winner if you're just attempting to change your spiritual attitude, your spiritual life. Second card is the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is a best kind of leader. She's focused. She's intense. Sometimes she uses occult methods. You see the cat below her. And she gives rise to new ideas, new concepts. She's stable. She's somebody that will succeed. And she's always looking for success. So, as you move through your life and you meet obstacles, and look for the flower, look for the sunflower, and I talked about making lemonade out of lemons. Look for the positive in each obstacle that you face. And this is going to lead you into a type of success. Now, we all have obstacles. We all have problems. It's hard when you're in the midst of a problem to look for, what is this obstacle trying to teach me? What is this situation trying to teach me? That is the cat, the occult message, the hidden lesson in the things that you encounter. And then the third card. This is the type of person you will become, a person of grace. It is the 9 of Pentacles. The 9 of Pentacles is someone who has come a long way. Maybe they've been successful in business. They've been successful in the things they do, but it's all been as a result of the hard work they've done. And people will look at that type of person and they respect them, and they get a little envious of them. But all the things you will accomplish at the end of your life, at the end of this long road of life, you'll be proud of, and you'll say to yourself, "I did this. I did this." And that is a opportunity to look back at your life and say, I led a successful life. Maybe I didn't make multi-millions of dollars, but I've become the type of person I've always wanted to become. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for this week.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. If not necessarily for this week, at least for today. I hope you all have a good day out there. And remember, be careful, be cool, be kind. And remember, find courage, have faith, and I will see you later on in the week. Okay, bye-bye.